What is good, everybody? Welcome back to the Blitz City Podcast for another episode of FBS Fridays. I am with my guys, Blue Bloods, from the Blue Bloods Podcast. Y'all already know him, though. Y'all know that, man. You know, he's an encyclopedia, all right? Kelly Flicks, you know, my guy. Hey, Kelly, I meant to tell you, bro, you made a statement about HBCU. We going to talk about that on another show, but bro, you be on point. I'm liking your rankings right now, for real. I'm really loving it. And then my guy, Coach from the Fanatic Sports Podcast. Coach, what's good, bro?
Man, what's good, man? Glad to be back up in here, man, talking some football. You know, this is my favorite time of year, dog, so I'm all with it. Let's go.
Perfect. So, you know, we got to start off with something light, right? Why do these coaches continue to do this to themselves? I don't know if Colorado is the program I want to get motivated or give any bulletin board material to right now. Jay Norvell, for those of y'all who've been living under a rock, he made comments about Coach Prime, and I'm going to just let y'all hear it. If this video could work, I'm going to let y'all see what he said.
You know, we had to do a bunch of ESPN videos, and it was great. I loved it. But our kids came out of those videos really with a chip on their shoulder. They're tired of all that stuff. They really are tired of it. And I sat down with ESPN today, and I don't care if they hear it in Boulder. I told them I took my hat off and I took my glasses off, and I said, when I talk to grown-ups, I take my hat and my glasses off. That's what my mother taught me. So, you know, they're not going to like us no matter what we say or do. It doesn't matter, okay? So let's go up there and play. And so that's just how I feel.
That's the gist of it. All right, that's the gist of it. For those of you who couldn't hear it, because it sounded real low to me. That man basically said, I take my hat off, I take my glasses off when I'm talking to the elders. And I don't know, I just thought it was a weird comment to make. I don't know why. I get it's a rivalry, maybe you want to get your kids fired up. I don't think that's what this was. But what is y'all comments on that, man?
Listen, I know we don't always get to hear the whole interview. I want to know what question or comment led to him talking about Deion hat and shades. Like, why are Deion hat and shades your focus? Shouldn't your focus be X's and O's? I mean, y'all only won 2 of the last 10. I mean, and the overall rivalry is even worse than that. I'm like, this Deion we talking about, bro. When the last time Deion did an interview and didn't have like something on, you know, back to Florida State? Come on now. Mm-hmm. I thought it was weird. And I'm like, what even led to this? Like, why would you even say that? And like you said, give them extra motivation. Like, bro, y'all already 22.5-point underdogs. Like, what you doing? So I just thought it was unnecessary, but I don't know. I guess he needed his 15 minutes to shine too. So say something about Prime, get in the news, right?
I think that's what it has to be. At this point, it almost seems like self-harming behavior by other coaches. Like, we like to inflict pain on ourselves. Like, we like to make it worse than it really needs to be. Now, I thought last week was a little bit manufactured hype. I don't think Nebraska did anything crazy. I don't think Matt Rule said anything wild. I think that was more Prime and Shador trying to manufacture some hype behind that, you know, some extra motivation. But, I mean, if you're Colorado State, like, I mean, you walked right into it. And now, not only did you add motivation to the game, he's about to make millions off of just giving sunglasses away on First Take and College Game Day and the Pat McAfee show. I mean, you walked right into it, and at the end of the day, his 15 minutes of fame is going to be up on Saturday when ultimately Colorado State gets the doors beat off of them. But, I mean, we're going to go on 4 weeks because you remember Dan Lanning already put his foot in his mouth in the preseason.
Yeah,
so we got 4 straight weeks of, all right, like, but I will say, if you're going to talk like this, I need a team like Oregon or USC to back me up. I'm not walking into this battle rounding everyone up with Colorado State's roster. I got Georgia's roster. If I was Kirby, I'd be talking crazy. I'd be like, man, like he don't know what he's doing. He's a fake wannabe coach. Like, man, you can talk all you want if you got a Georgia team behind you, but like Coach said, you're almost 25-point underdogs. It's going to get ugly, man.
For real.
Yeah, no, I agree, guys. I think this is like the definition of fake beef, right? Like, this is like, hey, just everybody just come watch this game, right? Let's just sell the fight. Let's sell the fight. Because to be quite honest, nobody's going to watch this Colorado State game. You know, the fact that ESPN College Game Day is going to be there, that's going to help a lot. But I think Jay Norvell kind of went to that interview really thinking like, okay, how can I like fight back, right? Like, because we're little old Colorado State. Like, nobody knows where we even are, right? So how can I fight back? And I mean, I ain't going to lie. That's a swing and a miss because you look crazy right now, right? Like, you're talking about hat and sunglasses, and we're talking about college sports. Like, we would I literally watched 7-on-7 this past summer. There were kids playing in games with hat and sunglasses on. Right? You know what I mean? You know how much of a joke you are, like how out of touch you are to say something like this. You look crazy. So yeah, now this is a swing and a miss for me.
Yeah.
It was really Deion's even telling Shiloh in like one of those videos that his son posts. He brought moms into it. They gonna take that personal, bro. Like,
but I mean,
gonna take that personal.
Is he wrong though? Like you say, my mama taught me XYZ, talking about me, which means you're saying that my mom didn't teach me how to act. So now you're talking about my mama, like you know how. Like MJ, Michael Jordan used to manufacture these things in his head. Like,
right.
You know, Deion is one of those guys too. I mean, he's an all-time great NFL player, athlete, whatever. All it takes is this. And he just gave a miss. Like, bro, he didn't need no motivation from you.
I will say I love it though. Like, I mean, to be honest, like being in the media is different. Like as a fan, you might hate it if you're like a certain fan of some school, but like as media, give me this and what's happened these past 3 weeks over, man, we really respect our opponent, man. Their quarterback is amazing. Like, you know, I don't know how we're going to stop their running back, man. Their wide receivers, all of them are great. Like you got Tennessee's coach out here acting like Graham Mertz is up for the Heisman. Like we don't know how we're going to stop him. And it's like, it's Graham Mertz, bro. You know, he is atrocious. Like you're not worried about Graham Mertz this weekend. Like Tennessee's going to go out there and win the first game of the Swamps is like 0-3. Like, you know, that's not who you're concerned about. So give me like the realness of it in terms of like, let's trash talk a little bit, let's work it up rather than act like, you know, Graham Mertz or you're worried about UConn in this. Like Nick Saban's like you're talking about South Florida. Like, how are we going to deal with South Florida? It's like you're 47-point favorite. You know exactly how you're going to handle South Florida.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
That's a good point. All right, next topic. Paul Feinbaum basically said that he thinks Florida would be a great spot for Coach Prime to land for his next job because we all know he ain't staying in Colorado forever. And I ain't gonna lie, I kind of like it. I do kind of like it. I like what he was talking about. Coach Prime in the swamp, in the SEC with that fan base. You know, Colorado's fan base is great now because he's there, but the swamp, you know, those fans are at a different level. I think recruiting will help even better than what it is now for Colorado. I don't know. I'm kind of liking it right now. What do y'all think?
I'll go last on this one.
Well, to me, it's about who offers him, right? I think coming from Jackson State to Colorado, I didn't think he would pick Colorado. I thought Deion Sanders was a little bit too big for Colorado. I thought he should have been a shoe-in for some of the bigger Power 5 positions. So seeing as though he did go to Colorado, I think that he moves a little different, right? He really chooses and picks his spots. Blue and I kind of talked about preseason, talked about how long Coach Prime might be coaching, and I think that's still in effect here, how long he'll actually still be coaching with his health and everything. But as far as moving on from here, I mean, I got to be honest. I kind of think it's NFL. I think it's the pro level. I think that either that or he stops coaching altogether. This kind of like thing where we've seen him follow Shador. It would only kind of make sense for him to go up to the next level. So as far as going to Power 5, a different Power 5 school, I kind of can't see it right now. I see that a lot of his moves have been motivated by his kids and his family and how he's been coaching them. So I think that might be his life's purpose.
I'm kind of worried about the control he'll have at the NFL. I think he knows, like, owners are gonna put him on the leash a little bit at the NFL level, and I don't know if he'd be too much in for that. But hey, I mean, I wouldn't block him out for him following Shador. So maybe we'll see.
Yeah, that's the thing is like, I mean, you know, you can tell in his interviews, like even when he was the head coach of Jackson, like there were signs that he was potentially looking at the next move. He's kind of kept the same, you know, tone and answer. Because I mean, they were asking about NFL like before he even was a college coach, and like he's been consistent. Like, man, that's not my thing. And so I'd be really surprised if he took an NFL job. Now, you guys know I don't think he's coaching past when Shador, Travis, and Shiloh go to the league. I just don't see him coaching that long. But if he does, man, Florida would be an insane fit. And I think it will work because of this. Have y'all noticed that he's kind of been taking little digs at Florida State over the past few years for not giving him that shot? He denied, like, he's like, I'm not a Seminole. I graduated from an HBCU. And like, he keeps taking these little subtle shots at Florida State, man. The ultimate, you should have hired me when you had the chance. would be to go coach at Florida. And with how good Florida State is right now with Jordan Travis, Mike Norvell's recruiting really well. I think he's kind of saved his job from a few years ago. Man, that Florida State-Florida rivalry would be insane with Prime as the head coach of Florida. I mean, you're looking at what's happening with Colorado. I want to put this in perspective. Game day is going to Colorado versus Colorado State. Could you guys imagine how big Florida, Tennessee would be this weekend if Prime was there in the swamp? I mean,
that'd be dope. That'd be dope.
It would be insane. But I will say, man, it's a different pressure cooker in Gainesville. And Coach knows this. Kobe, you know this. Kelly, you guys know it. It's different in Florida. We saw it chew up Urban Meyer. We saw it chew up Dan Mullen. We've seen it chew up multiple coaches who were high-level coaches. Urban Meyer had more fun at Ohio State, which is a pressure cooker, than he did in Gainesville. I mean, put that in perspective. So it just depends on his, like I said, his health and putting out that stress. But if he did go to Florida, man, it would be scary.
That would be a good rivalry, though. Florida State with Prime there. But I'm like you guys. I think, he's following Shedeur and Travis. He treats Travis like a son. And somebody was trying to tell me that he's going to leave after this year. And I'm like, bro, Travis is a true sophomore. He's got one more year. Prime ain't going absolutely nowhere until Travis Hunter is finished. Regardless of whether he stays, I don't think he stays 4 years. He's going to be going after next year. But if he goes somewhere else, the reason why I want to go last is because we talked about this on my homeboy podcast. With the Clemson fans all in a rage about Dabo. If Dabo has, listen at the timing now. So we know he's going to be there at least 2 to 3 more years because of Travis Hunter. If Dabo don't make the ACC championship this year, a Clemson fan called into the local radio here in the upstate of South Carolina and was like, Dabo's got credit with the Clemson fans, but he's working through that credit right now because of what's going on. And I'm just saying, Nick Saban getting old, maybe Dabo say, I'm tired of Clemson, let me go back to my alma mater and go to Alabama. I don't know. Maybe he gets tired of the Clemson fans trying to tell him how he should run his program, but he leaves in about 3 years. Deion's up for a job in about 2 or 3 years. Deion's a faith-based man just like Dabo publicly, I say. I'm not saying that the other coaches not. And he still gets to get some get back at Florida State. You know what I'm saying? It's not like Florida, but it's the same thing. They, Clemson, Florida State in the ACC. So it might be Dabo. It might be Deion might roll up through here in South Carolina. I don't know, and go to Clemson. But Florida, I didn't think about that. That would be a great landing spot. I don't want him at Florida because I don't want to have to play against him every year.
Hey, look, while we throwing in like good landing spots, Texas A&M might be a job opening pretty soon.
And he got a house in Texas.
He a Texas guy, yeah.
With that money behind him.
Listen.
Sky is the limit. They might be the Cowboys, you know what I mean?
Listen. The only thing that'll stop him, like you said, if he doesn't coach, once Travis Hunter is gone, but if he's still coaching, I don't see him at Colorado after that.
No.
Okay, all right. Now, week 2 performances. We saw all the games from the past week. Who stuck out to you? Who was your favorite performance to watch?
Texas.
Yeah. That might be the easiest one.
Listen, but the thing is, like, I'm on some of the Oklahoma podcasts sometimes, and they try to listen. When I said that Texas was going to beat Bama 2 weeks ago, they literally, like, the comments, all the hosts, everybody was on Coach I. 7-win Sark. I'm like, he only got to win one game Saturday, and they almost beat him with Bryce Young. So Jalen Milroe's going to beat Texas? Sell it to somebody else, brother. So it was really good for me. But it was surprising how physically I felt like they dominated Alabama, though. You know what I mean? Like, Nick Saban teams don't get dominated physically. Even if they lose, they still beat you up physically. And I thought Texas manhandled them on both sides of the trenches. Like, the offensive line was bullying their defensive line. Their defensive line was bullying Bama's offensive line. I'm like, Jesus. Is this the same Alabama team? And then I think that former Alabama players felt the same way. He's watching the game like, this ain't the school I played for, So much so, some of the current players are kind of beefing with the older players because they was like, you don't support the team, you ain't with us. That's basically saying, like, yeah, I'm still soft. You know what I mean? Like, guys came out and said it, and I believe it. I don't know. Alabama looked rough, but I was impressed with Texas.
Yeah, I think it has to be Texas. I mean, just by almost default, because I mean, listen, Coach can tell you, I picked Bama. I picked Texas over Bama on his show 2 weeks ago. I picked it on our show last week. I've been saying, man, this Texas team looks legit. Quinn Ewers is that guy. Like all the Arch Manning hype, I tried to tell you all this offseason. Arch Manning's going to have to be on the bench because Quinn Ewers is him. And Ohio State's looking real foolish right now because they're wishing he was. Can you imagine Quinn Ewers and Marvin Harrison Jr. right now? Oh man, legendary. But and like Coach said, it was more the line of scrimmage play and just how much they looked so much more athletic at the skill positions too. The wide receivers, man, the Mitchell kid from Georgia,
shout out AD.
Looks every bit what Georgia thought he was going to be coming out of high school. I mean, he was cooking every Alabama DB on him that game, and Quinn was making the right decisions. But Saban said, I know it went viral because of his funny answer in terms of like, you know, the blitz pickup and all that with the caller on the coach's show, but they were sacking Alabama with 3-man rushes with no blitzes, 4-man rushes with no blitzes. They only gave one. And I went and checked the PFS. Saban was not lying. They gave up 1 sack when they brought a blitz. That offensive line is too good on paper to be giving up that to Texas. And I mean, you look at that Texas O-line. I told you guys last week, they returned all 5 starting offensive linemen. The continuity and chemistry is there. And they've kind of built it up. And I think the Bijan Robinson loss was kind of overblown because what they're doing is they're replacing them by committee. They don't have a Bijan Robinson, but they got 2-3 backs that can go get it. And so rotating in and out fresh bodies really helps them. And then when you got a guy like Quinn Ewers, we all know in college football, if you don't have the guy at quarterback, it's tough to win. And they have that guy.
Yeah, I think last episode we talked a lot about Jalen Milroe and what his ceiling could be, or, you know, if he's still going to be a starting quarterback for Alabama. And really my point was that he had to have a good showing against Texas. Like if that was make or break for him, he didn't do that. So I'd be inclined to agree with you guys. I think Texas had a great performance, but I got to go with USC, man. USC looking like the old USC. Now, you look, Stanford, not a very formidable opponent, right? This ain't the old Stanford, right? But being from the West Coast, I understand what USC used to do to Stanford and how it used to be back and forth matches. Now, I think we're looking at it like they're like turning the page now. We saw USC go up 49-3 on Stanford at halftime, right? We saw Caleb Williams throw 19 for 21, look great. Everything looks like it's coming together for USC now. Like defensively, it doesn't look that much better than last year, right? I'm not that excited about Stanford, but I will say they look much more formidable, and they look like they could be championship caliber. And that's what I'm excited about with USC. Offensively, they're getting out of these games without injuries. They're ending games like at halftime again. I love it. It's starting to feel like days.
I think USC definitely looks good. They're on offense for sure. Definitely on offense. I'm interested to see how they look, you know, when they go to Colorado. So. Shout out to AD Mitchell, man. See, look, I just want to say that AD Mitchell scored his first. Hey, listen, AD Mitchell scored his first touchdown. He looked into the crowd and he's like, "Y'all remember me?" He did that right.
That's killer.
It was savage, dog, and I love it, man. Hated he had to go to Texas, man, but that dude's he's an animal. I know Xavier Worthy was their number 1 receiver, but I'm telling you, AD Mitchell is that dude.
I like that. He really is. Like
for real.
Just that duo together, AD Mitchell and oh my God,
trouble.
They're gonna be tough to beat.
Trouble, bro. I don't know if a secondary has 2 guys that can cover both of them. You know what I mean?
True. So last week something happened.
Yeah, dude.
Mario Cristobal, he's starting to get a little bit of love in these streets now. You know, he's Frank Quinn. Yo, I saw an article that asked the question. I feel like y'all know where I'm gonna go with this. They ask it every year. Is the U back? Is the U back after this great win over Texas A&M?
I don't know if they back yet, but I will say they look better. You know, I watched them against Miami of Ohio. And I saw they had some receivers. They're DBs with led by Cam Kitchen in that secondary. They're formidable. I like both the running backs, and Tyler Van Dyke looked like he's getting back to freshman. I want to say it's all ACC guy.
Van Dyke look good.
Bro, he's good. He's looking good, man. Hey, shout out to my brother, man. Die hard Canes fan. Die hard. He called me after the Miami, Ohio. He's like, "How we looking, bro?" I was like, "He's looking good, dog. He looking good." I did not expect them to handle Texas A&M the way that they did. You know, Texas A&M jumped out 17-7. And I was like, "Here we go." I was like, Petrino in his bag, you know, crystal ball, overshooting. They came at listen, they went on a straight tear, man. And I think they look better. And I'll say this. I thought coming into the year, Clemson would only lose 2 games in the in their season, and that was Notre Dame and Florida State. I don't know if they beat Miami.
Yeah, I mean, because they blew out Charleston Southern, but for a while, didn't they have that lead?
At halftime, it was 21-17 Clemson.
And it was 14-14 in the second quarter, and Charleston Southern had 0 total yards.
Listen,
oh my God!
I know we'll talk about it later, but they got problems at the trigger man too.
Yes, 1,000%. But the U's not back, man. I'm not counting.
No.
Like Texas A&M, for any top 25 voter that really put them in that top 25, they gotta lose their voting privileges. They need suspensions on voters. Like you can't vote for like 3-4 weeks. That's ridiculous at this point. I mean, questions at the quarterback spot. No proven offensive lineman right now. The running back spot's questionable. And then all those defensive players that everyone's been hyping up because they're 4 and 5 stars, none of them are that good. I mean, I hate to say it. Like, they just, there's something missing, man. I get the Petrino hype, but I mean, I still think it's Jimbo. At the end of the day, like he had that really like 2 good years at Florida State, and then it crashed and burned in that second year, man. Oregon beat them to death in that playoff game. I just think really and truly Jimbo is a great recruiter, but he doesn't know how to build a culture in a locker room. Because even when you go look at that national championship team, all the external stuff that they had to overcome that year to even get to the national championship, fighting suspensions, off the field issues, and then he left knowing what he left behind for the next coach. And you saw how long it took Norvell to rebuild that culture in there. Until they get rid of Jimbo, man, A&M's not winning anything. And there's an argument that they have a chance to not be ball eligible again this year. And there's a really good chance in my mind that they might finish last in the West again.
Could be.
Hey, look, the U's not back. It's going to take a while for him to get back, but this is a good get back game, though, right? You get to play Texas A&M, and I can't. You got to be real. This early part of the season was very well scheduled by them, right? You schedule like Miami, Ohio, who's nobody. Schedule a fake Texas A&M team, right? And then you play Bethune-Cookman, and 3 days after that, right? Like on a back-to-back. So they're not back yet, right? But Miami's offense, though, is fun to watch. A lot of explosive players. A lot of these guys are really thirsty for the end zone. We see a lot of receivers getting a lot of yak. Big play after big play. Tyler Van Dyke actually looks like he's dialed into this offense now. So it's a fun offense to watch. Defensively, I do have my questions about him and run defense and things like that. But it's like you're winning games, right? How much can you critique? So I think as long as they're winning games and scoring points like this, thinking as though this Miami team is coached by Mario Cristobal, a guy from Oregon, puts up a lot of points, it's starting to resemble that, right? And I think for Miami, they're hopeful to be able to stay in games and be able to duke it out with guys because they can put up a lot of points. So with this Miami team, I think they're in contention for the ACC. I don't see why not. I think to me, you got Florida State out there, but you got an Olympian Clemson team. You got a North Carolina team that's, might be there, might not be there. Look, man, you're playing good right now offensively. Turn this into more wins, get bowl eligible, and then maybe make a run.
I agree with all that.
Okay, yeah, all right. But UNC, App State, Blue, we specifically.
Oh my God!
How we do this game is going
every year, bro.
Man, I watched that game. I was surprised that he missed the kick, number one, to send it in overtime. But then I mean that running back for North Carolina, Omarion, boy, just went off, right? I mean, 26 carries. 220 yards, something like that. He was the main driving force for pulling out that game for UNC. But the fact that it was this close again, man, you just don't want to put that team in your schedule. I would never put App State on my schedule as a coach. What y'all think about that game, man?
Listen, man, it was in Chapel Hill this year, but it's not too far from Boone. I mean, a couple hours or whatever. I'm gonna tell you, man, living here in the Southeast, man, people that don't know, you never been to Boone. My nephew played at App State. They take football serious in Boone. Like, there's literally nothing else to do. They take football serious. I don't know why FBS coaches keep scheduling App State. Maybe they want game like feel for their conference game or something. But I wouldn't schedule App State. Not if I'm trying to get to the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? Like App State is a good team, man. And I mean UNC got good offense, but we already know their defense is always kind of questionable. It looks better than last year, but that's not saying much because I want to say they was like less than 100 in defense or something last year. So they got to fix that defense if they're going to compete with anybody in the ACC. I think Drake May is going to be in New York if he doesn't get hurt. He's that good. He's definitely top 5 pick. But App State, listen, man, they bring it all the time, every year. They're a force to be reckoned with. So I thought App State was actually going to pull it out. And I was like, here go North Carolina throwing the season away.
I was kind of surprised that they even went to Boone last year, to be honest with you. I don't know how that happened.
Well, you do know that, like these. I think these smaller schools are starting to say, "Hey, man, no, let's do a home and home. Nah, we don't just want your money, bro. Like, you want us to come get beat up? Come to our place too. You know what I'm saying? Like, Alabama's going to South Florida tomorrow.
Yeah, it's like 30-point favorites. The problem is, if you go to Boone, you might not leave with a easy W, and they might beat you in back-to-back years. Like, that's the problem. Because I mean, the coach is right. I mean, for people who don't understand like the culture behind the App State program, I'm like, they think they're national championship contenders every year, even now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is a team that won 3 back-to-back FCS national championships before making the jump and beat Michigan in the process.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're just that type of program. They expect to win all the time. And I think it's also easy too, once you establish a culture of beating Power 5 programs, super easy to keep that in the culture of the program, especially with not a lot of staff turnover either. These guys know what it takes, man. Like when you walk through like the facility, you see the national championships from FCS, but man, look at all the P5 wins they have upset. I mean, they beat North Carolina a few years ago in a neutral site, and it wasn't even close. I mean, they were just that good, and that was when they had Sam Howell and everyone. Listen, App State's just that good, but I wasn't impressed with Drake May this weekend. I'll be honest with you. I thought this was one of his, I guess, more inconsistent games in my opinion, and I think the run game really bailed him out because if that running back doesn't have a career day, I mean, North Carolina goes down, probably doesn't even get to overtime if that running back doesn't bail Drake May out this weekend.
They had 300 overall rushing yards that game. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it definitely bailed them.
Yeah, I think what you say speaks to App State's defense, though. You know, App State they come to play. You know what I'm saying? You got to bring your A game. You're not just going to be able to sleepwalk through an App State game. They almost beat Tennessee a couple of years ago. I want to say at Bristol. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Hey, and not for nothing, in 2017 when they came to Athens, in like the first quarter when Jacob Eason was in there, you know, not the biggest Jacob Eason fan, but they was going toe-to-toe. There was no score, but they was going toe-to-toe with us. And then he got hurt and Jake Fromm, and it was all history. But they gonna come in and fight, man. It's like, stop scheduling App State.
Yeah, right.
They should have won that Tennessee game, though. They should have won
that was a good one.
Game. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That was a really good one. Speaking about the rushing, it kind of seems like the rushing built out Drake May in this game. You got Amari Hampton running for 234 yards on 26 carries, stuff like that kind of makes you go like, but then also you got to think about how good this team they're playing against is, right? And I think Mac Brown's just trying to leave the stadium with a win. At the end of the day, can we get out of here with a W? So it's definitely like a conference-like atmosphere. Like I think if this wasn't a rivalry before, it's starting to become one because every time they play, it's going down to the wire regardless. So not sure how long they'll keep them on the schedule. But I wanted to see more from Drake May. I'm not gonna lie. The week before Appalachian State, they played like Gardner Webb. Let Gardner Webb score like 24 points on them. So I wasn't sure what we were gonna get out of this game. So coming into it, I thought maybe Drake May might showcase his game and really do what he did almost like last year, right? Just put up big numbers and get the win. So it was kind of an unorthodox game, a little slower, but it was more it was one in the trenches, right? So it was a fun game to watch. And at the end of the game, I mean, it just comes down to who can make the biggest plays in overtime, man. In college football overtime, it's nothing like it.
You know, and I will say Joey Aguilar for App State, wasn't he the backup and got it because of what injury?
Yeah,
I think he's the guy now.
Possibly, yeah.
I think he's nice.
Yeah, I think he's the guy for that program.
We also forgot App State beat number 6 Texas A&M last year in week 2 as well at Kyle Field.
At Texas A&M. Stop it.
Right. Colorado and Nebraska. Travis Hunter had sort of a more quiet performance, not defensively. I think he did well defensively, but offensively, 3 catches? It wasn't really spectacular, but still, they were able to get off offensively. I really do like Dylan Edwards, man. I really do like that kid's game, but they're starting to surprise me with their receiving core a little bit because I thought it was just Jimmy Horn Jr. and Travis whenever he gets offensive snaps. Now, like Shador is starting to get the ball to different receivers, and they're all like they seem to be stat piling in the first 2 weeks. So I mean, they're looking pretty good in the passing game. What do y'all think?
I mean, I still want to see them. I don't know, because I don't think this surprised any of us. Like, I didn't think Nebraska was very good in the first place. I just got next week circled, man. That Oregon Colorado game, either the hype train is going to come to like an emergency break type halt, or college football is in for the wildest next however many months this season. Like, I mean, it's going to be insane if they beat Oregon. But if Oregon comes out there and blows them out, just pull the e-brake, it'll end very quickly, because then USC comes in the next week and 3-2 doesn't look the same as 5-0. And so it's just going to be super interesting. I think they played really well. But man, Nebraska's quarterback situation, I mean, you might as well just do like Army's doing right now and just try to control the ball for 25 minutes and just run the triple option. Like, it is bad. But Shador doing Shador things. I think their wide receiving core is a little bit deeper than I think a lot of people gave them credit for, especially with some of the transfers they had after the spring game. I forget, was it the Lemonious Craig kid that transferred out? Everyone was kind of worried about depth. They got plenty of wide receiving. And like you said, that freshman running back, man, he's established himself as the guy in that running back room. Offensively, they're going to be fine. It's just a question of like, when is this defense really going to be tested? Because I don't think Nebraska offered them anything offensively.
Even Army's passing better than Nebraska, if I'm being. Yeah. Even they aired the ball out for the first
time. I like it. I mean, I think Colorado looks good. I wouldn't say this was like so much of a prove it game, but this was like, okay, are what we're seeing, is that true, right? And they did it again, right? They came out, the offense looked really good, defense looked pretty good. They were able to get good stops. One thing I will say about Colorado, I was saying they won't win like 6 games. I think they'll definitely win 6 games. This team has offensive firepower to go at it with any of these five-win teams, right? The other side of the Pac-12, the Arizonas, right? So I think what we got from this past week was really understanding what Colorado's going to be about. They're going to be an air raid attack, right? And defensively, they're going to take their chances and try to make stops. But offensively, Nebraska was terrible. I mean, Jeff Sims was just bad, like bad. So Matt Rule even said after the game, like, you know what it takes to be like with a Matt Rule team? Like, you know how long I take to get going? Like, bro, what does that mean? Like, let's get going now. So, Nebraska, they're like eons away from Colorado at this point. So I think just in preseason, we thought that this Nebraska team would be better. We thought TCU would be better. So I think going into it, like Blue said, it's kind of all about this Oregon game, because this week you play Colorado State, and I don't want to talk about them, but yeah.
They lost 41-10 to Sacramento State last year, who's an FCS school.
That's so crazy.
Listen, I'm with Kelly. Like, man, Vegas line on Colorado was 3.5. I ain't gonna lie. When I did the Colorado season preview, I said they would win 4. I thought Colorado State, possibly Nebraska, Stanford, and one of the Arizona schools. But the way their offenses look so far, I've been impressed with how Deion has these guys already like in line. You know what I'm saying? They don't look like a hodgepodge of new players. They look like they've been playing together for like 3 or 4 years. But to that point, Nebraska isn't good. I thought Nebraska's only shot to keep it close was to play ball control. But then he let Jeff Sims throw the ball. And I'm like, well, that's not a recipe for staying in the game. So I did like what I saw from Colorado's defensive front, particularly I want to say Juwan Mitchell, 51 and 55. They created a little more havoc in the front, because I don't feel like they did that in TCU, and TCU was able to come back on them in the second half. And that's what I want to see when they play the Oregons, the USCs, those teams, because they're going to be able to score. So if you can't get pressure on their quarterback, they got guys that's just as good as Shador back there. So that's what's going to make these next couple of meetings, especially like with Oregon. I mean, Bo Nix can run on you too. You know, he's like Jeff Sims, but he can throw a little bit. So it's like, Jeff Sims can't throw at all. So I do still want to see some more from Colorado's run game, though. I get it. The pass game, Weaver, I didn't know about Weaver. I knew about Jimmy Horn. I didn't know about Xavier Weaver. Mm-hmm. He's got like 10 catches in the both of the first games, and then Edwards out of the backfield. Everybody's a great pass catcher, but they still don't have a guy that I trust, to run that ball when they're up and need to salt the clock away. So that's what I'm looking to see from them. But good win by Colorado, man. Not the high scoring that Colorado fans thought it was going to be, which I figured that because Nebraska was going to hold the ball a little bit. But hey, a 22-point win nonetheless.
I will say, just to close this out, right? Underrated part of Prime's game is his ability to bring all of these different kids in from across the country in the transfer portal, and they just play together as if they've been playing the whole time. Like the chemistry he's able to create in a short amount of time. He's been doing this since, he was at Jackson State, bringing in all these different kids, and their chemistry is like straight right off the bat. So I don't know what it is, but I think that's an underrated part of his coaching ability. We got to talk about Ohio State before we get into week 3 picks. Yo, I'm not a the sky is falling type of guy, but the sky is falling for Ohio State. Let's be honest here. You only scored 7 points in the second half against Youngstown State, bro. That's a problem. And yeah, like you said earlier, Blue, they're starting to miss
CJ Stroud.
They're starting to miss them bad now, and I don't know how they're gonna hold out until what's his name? What's the kid the 5-star they just got? Aaron Nolan.
Yeah,
I don't know how y'all gonna hold out until he get there, but it's looking real bad for you right now. And at this point, I'm pretty much guaranteeing a Michigan win at the end of the season. I mean, like I don't see it. When conference play gets here, it's gonna be ugly. Like that's where I'm at right now. I just don't like how it's looking for them. But 35-7 versus Jackson State. How do y'all feel about this Ohio State team right now?
They're not good. They're not a playoff contender.
Not the way they've been playing. First off, Devin Brown. If you're giving a memorial to somebody or commemoration for somebody for wearing 33, okay. But if not, take 33 off. You're a quarterback, bro. Like we're not wearing 33 in the backfield. Sorry. And these two guys were 5 stars, 4 stars or whatever. So it's like we heard all offseason how it was a real quarterback, battle because they both could be the guy, but they're not CJ Stroud, they're not Justin Fields. And I think that's where it begins. And that defense hasn't made any improvements. We got JT, don't want to say his last name and mess it up, but he ain't did nothing. Jack Sawyer ain't did nothing. I'm like, bro, what's going on? Y'all forgot how to tackle when y'all put the red and silver on or whatever it is up there. So I'm like Blue. I'm kind of like right now, I get it. It's been a lot of vanilla stuff, but bro, I don't know if y'all can beat Michigan right now. And I may be honest, Penn State look a little bit better right now.
I don't know if they can beat Notre Dame next week.
Ooh.
On the road, I'm picking right now. Sam Hartman at quarterback.
Ooh,
Notre Dame is no joke.
And give me the Fighting Irish.
Yeah, I think Notre Dame wins that game next week. Like you're looking at Ohio State having a loss going into conference play, and then you still got the Penn State game. You still got the Michigan game, which is on the road this year too, which is tough to win in the Big House. And if Michigan starts getting a little streak going, Ryan Day's going to be looking for a job.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's this big shout out to the Yo, all my folks in the Yo. That was a good performance against Ohio State, I will say. One of the better performances. But for Ohio State, too many issues, man. Defensively, for years, they've had issues. It's starting to really show up now because the offense isn't showing up. And I will say, I was talking to a friend about this. The guys that struck out in the transfer portal in the offseason are really paying for it now. The Alabamas, Ohio States, when it comes to quarterbacks. Right. And they kind of were relying on developing guys to be the number one, but we're not really seeing that. And really with Ohio State right now, they're almost at a come to Jesus moment. Right. I think this weekend against Notre Dame, they'll have that moment, maybe at halftime. They'll have that come to Jesus moment where they go, wow, what are we going to do? Right. Is it the Kyle McCord show? Is it the Devin Brown show? And how are we going to feed Marvin Harrison? Because quite honestly, Marvin Harrison was like double and triple team last week. He's just running out of double and triple teams getting open. But next week, it's not going to work against Notre Dame. So for me, Ohio State, it's so many questions. Looking at them as a number 5 ranked team in the country is almost like, how did they get here? But you can almost like see that they're about to fall off. And it's kind of hard to see.
At this point, should Marvin Harrison Jr. consider the Jamar Chase approach?
It's too late now. You already started
No,
playing.
I don't think so because I think Jamar Chase. I don't know. Marvin Harrison is just as good, if not better, but he got Rome Odunze from Washington nipping on his heels for that number 1 wide receiver draft spot. And I've been telling people that like Ohio State's supposed to have the best wide receiver room. You can't have the best wide receiver room, and yes, I'm gonna say something about the playoffs. You can't have the best wide receiver room as your number 1 guy go down, and you can't score no more points against Georgia. So I don't want to hear it. Washington got receivers for days. We talking about 4 guys, and I think 3 of those guys might be first rounders. I ain't like you got McMillan, I think his name is Polk. You got Rome Odunze, and I'm telling you, Rome Odunze and Marvin, I'm telling you, between the stats this season, the combine, don't be surprised if Rome is the first wide receiver taken. I'm just saying.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
Well, you was about to say something?
No.
Okay. All right. So let's get into these picks, right? Georgia's first real test of the season.
The Beamer boys.
Are we
you
picking?
Call this a test?
Are we picking the winners, or are we picking with the spread?
So we can all agree Georgia got that one.
Yep.
Yeah, I did. I do think South Carolina covers the spread, though.
Okay. All right.
They just announced that Lad McConkey's out.
Yeah, he wasn't gonna play. Yeah.
Okay.
I think we beat them 42-17, but the spread is like 26-27. So I don't think we cover the spread.
Okay. All right. Tennessee and Florida, who you got?
Ooh. Florida's getting 7. I'm going with Florida to outright win.
Ooh. I'm going Tennessee. I'm not picking. Listen, until Graham Mertz is not the quarterback and they got an offensive line, I can't pick Florida.
I know one quarterback that Graham Mertz is better than, though. Joe Milton.
It's not Joe Milton.
Yes,
it's not. It's not.
Bro, Joe Milton is not
Clay
the
is
answer,
watching
bro.
this mad at you right now, bro.
That's fine. He could be mad. He might be better than Peyton Thorne or Robbie Ashford, but he's definitely not better than Joe Milton.
Yeah. I'm not convinced with Florida, man. They beat McNeese last week, quality win, I guess. But this week against Tennessee, man, I think Joe Milton might really show them what's up. I think Joe Milton's waiting to have a come out party. And I'm be honest, I thought he was going to be more careless. I thought he was going to be more careless with the ball, right? He hasn't been this year, though. So I think now Joe Milton, he might have a chance to redo something against a Florida team that just hasn't operated correctly this whole season.
Well, also Tennessee's been running the football shockingly well this year. Like, I
They've
mean, very
had
consistent. Yeah, and listen, and Florida can't stop the run either. So even if Joe Milton doesn't have a big game, I think Tennessee has enough at the running back room to win this game.
I can go with you right there. I don't think Graham Mertz is good, but I don't think he's been as bad as I thought he was. He hasn't been the reason why they've looked the way they look. Let's just say that. You know what I'm saying? I think some of that has to do with play calling. In the Utah game, you don't give the horses in the backfield more than 7 total carries. That's just ridiculous. I don't know. Tennessee's offense, and it's not just Joe Milton. They don't have Jalen Hyatt. I know Tennessee fans tried to sell me on Squirrel White. Squirrel is not Jalen Hyatt. Jalen Hyatt has other world speed, route running ability, hands, all of that stuff. And Cedric Tillman was a dog. Like Brew McCoy is not. Brew McCoy is just a guy, like he hasn't shown me like he's anything other than a 4-year starter at a program. Like that's about it. And like I say, I think they've been running it good because they've had to. And Tennessee's defense still ain't no good. I'm just saying, so. In a place you haven't won since 2003 and you've only won 5 times ever, give me the home team.
Okay, all right.
And I'm a Dog fan. It hurts me to pick Florida. Believe me, dog.
All right. Mississippi State, LSU.
I don't know what to make of this game.
Yeah, that's a good one for me.
That's a good one.
Mississippi State's different offense, running the ball better. They still got a guy at quarterback. LSU's got all the talent, but we saw what they look like on national TV. So, oh man, I think the defensive back going down. Johnson from Ohio transferred from Ohio State. That really hurt them. Denver Harris is in limbo or not with the team. I don't know. So they were literally counting on those 2 guys to start. So I think that's been one of the biggest problems. I mean, they do have Mason Smith up front with Makai Wingo, so I think they're going to cause some problems for their run game. But I don't know. I don't know how to call this game, bro. If you put a gun to my head, what's the home team? LSU?
Mississippi State.
Oh, give me
In
Mississippi State.
Starkville. They're definitely
That's
covering.
what I was gonna say. Give me Mississippi State and whatever the spread
It's
is.
9.5.
Right.
Yeah.
Give me 9.5 points for
Yeah,
Mississippi State for sure.
Give me the points, definitely for sure.
All right. Now the time has come for the last segment of the show. Overreaction, not overreaction. I get these off the internet, people. For those of y'all who are here from the first time, these are not my thoughts. Please don't think I'm right.
Disclaimer.
Disclaimer. Right. Overreaction, not overreaction. The sky is definitely falling for the Buckeyes.
I personally think it's an overreaction. I do think they need to shore up the quarterback spot, but I mean, hey, they haven't really played anybody, so I know we all want them to go out and score 80 on the nobodies, but sometimes coaches might just be trying to get out of there with no injuries. I don't know. I think next week against Notre Dame, we'll know if the sky is falling or not, and then I'll have a better reaction. But right now, I don't think the sky is falling.
Yeah, overreaction until they lose that first game.
Yeah.
It's a wait and see approach. Now, do I think they're going to lose next week? Yes, but then we'll come back to this topic, and they're right on point.
Yeah, no, I agree. Overreaction. Yeah, I think this Ohio State team, they're talented enough to be a top 25 team. So yeah, I wouldn't think the sky's falling just yet.
Yeah.
Overreaction, not overreaction. Arch Manning would be starting right now had he chosen Alabama.
Spot on.
Oh my God. Hey, yo.
Spot on.
I
Wow.
remember videos of Nick Saban showing up to Arch's basketball game. Like, that's how bad he wanted him. They needed each show Texas. Now they're like, hey, you would have been starting right now. Y'all agree with that?
I agree.
Yeah,
I actually
probably.
thought he would have had to win it. I thought he would have been QB1 coming into the season, just to be honest. I never believed in Jalen Milroe and Tyler Buckner. We saw what he did at Notre Dame. So I thought he would have been QB1 coming out of fall camp. So
Yeah, because I thought Ty Simpson might have gotten a shot before Buckner. I mean, Buckner has more interceptions and passing touchdowns in 2 years at Notre Dame, and they're about to roll him out here like he's better than – I mean, he might be better than Milroe. I don't know, but I don't think either of them are very good.
But just quick, man, what does that say about Ty Simpson? He was a 5-star, second ranked behind Quinn Ewers when he came out. He can't beat out Tyler Buckner, and he's been in the system.
Yeah, I don't know. He just needs to go play under his dad.
Sound like it's time for the portal for Ty Simpson.
Stuff.
He needs to go play for his dad and win the Walter Payton.
Why not?
All right. Overreaction, not overreaction. Alabama loses 3 games this year.
Oof. Overreaction because their schedules. I mean, dude, the West is not very good, in my opinion. I don't think Ole Miss is very good. Ole Miss struggled with the Tulane team with the backup quarterback. If they had Michael Pratt, they lose that game. And then you got LSU, who has not looked amazing. You got A&M, Auburn, who both are terrible. I mean, who realistically beats them this year? I mean, really, they might lose 1 or 2, but I just can't see 3 unless they get to the championship and that's their third loss. If they go in with 2, they're definitely losing the SEC championship.
I don't know. I think it's a possibility. I wouldn't bet on it. I think it's a possibility because even when they were good, A&M played them, tough. Even though A&M's not good, for some reason they just play Alabama tough, and they do have to go to the Plains this year. And if you check the record for the last 5 to 7 times they went on the plane, I want to say it's 500 for Nick Saban. So I'm not saying Auburn is better than Alabama, but they always seem to be
Definitely
able to
not.
beat. They always seem to be able to beat or make it a game. I mean, last time they were in the Plains with Bryce Young, Bryce Young had to do some incredible stuff just to send it to overtime. You know what I'm saying?
Against TJ Finley with half a leg.
You know what I'm saying? And Hugh Freeze is beating them, before with Ole Miss. So I say it can happen. I wouldn't bet on it, though.
Yeah, I'd say I think not an overreaction. I think it's a good possibility because this Alabama offense looks a little figured out, right? You're gonna switch out your quarterback and hope that brings about a change. But if it doesn't, and this is what you got to roll with through the rest of the season, well, good luck. Big away game. So Alabama simply has to improve. If not, this is gonna be their fate for sure.
I will say I want an apology from everyone in the state of Alabama when I said Michael Hires from Sanford was the best quarterback in the state of Alabama. It looks like I was correct on that because Alabama and Auburn would both take Hires right now if they could.
Right.
All right, last one, man. Last one in the show. Pittsburgh plays for the ACC title while Clemson finished third or possibly fourth.
Neither one of Clemson might finish
Whoa.
third or fourth, but Pittsburgh definitely will not play for the
No.
ACC championship.
Could that be like a half and half? Because Pitt's not
exactly.
going
Oh, we're blue, half and half.
I like the half and half. Go ahead, split it. You know what I mean, right?
Hey, I'm pulling
Pittsburgh
up
is
like
bad,
what is Pitt even like? What is the ACC standings like? What is Pitt's
I have
1-1?
no idea.
Yeah, Pitt. So they
Pitt lost to Cincinnati, bro, and Cincinnati lost their whole team and coach. No chance.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
And also, and they got rid of divisions too. I don't know if people remember that. The ACC has no more divisions. So it's the two top teams, and you got Florida State, North Carolina, Miami, Louisville, Duke, all probably above Pitt right now.
I'm gonna be honest,
I can't put them in there.
Neutral field, I'm taking Duke over Pitt. Easy.
Yeah, for sure.
Easy.
I'll take North Carolina over Pitt. I'll take Florida
Miami.
State over Pitt. Miami over Pitt. Louisville doesn't look bad either.
Hey, I picked West Virginia this weekend in the backyard brawl. Hey, they had a better showing against Penn State. They got a good running back. I want to say his name is CJ something. I think they can. If they end it in the fourth quarter, Pitt better look out.
All right. Well, that concludes the show. Thank y'all so much for joining, man. I really do appreciate y'all, man. And to everybody watching, thank y'all for tuning in. I think this is one of the bigger audiences we had during the show. So I really appreciate y'all for tuning in. We'll be back. I'll let y'all know if we'll be back next week because we always on a week-to-week basis. But Coach, man, I appreciate you joining us, man. It was fun.
Appreciate you having me, man.
All right, hey, we'll see y'all next time, man. I'll let y'all know in the community tab. Look out for when our next show is available. We'll see y'all next time, man. We out.
We out.